If you're over 60, this one small crunchy habit could quietly raise your risk of a stroke overnight with no pain, no warning, and no second chance. You go to bed feeling fine, but by morning, your balance is gone, your speech is slurred, or one side of your body won't move. As a brain doctor, I've seen it far too many times. Older adults who thought they were eating healthy, protecting their hearts and brains, only to discover that what they trusted most was slowly turning against them. Not fast food, not soda, not even sugar, but nuts. Yes, nuts. The very foods praised as super snacks in health magazines and senior wellness guides. And while many nuts can support healthy aging, others, especially when eaten at the wrong time or in the wrong amounts, can quietly do harm. They raise blood pressure, thin the blood too much, or interact dangerously with common medications. The scariest part, almost no one ever tells you. Today I'm going to expose 5 common nuts that could be raising your risk of stroke, memory loss, or even a brain bleed. What you hear might shock you, but it could also save your life. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you hit that button and turn on the bell so you never miss another health tip made just for you. If you enjoy this video, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 to let me know how I can make better content for you. 1. Cashews, the hidden salt trap. Cashews are one of the most popular snacks in America. They taste smooth, buttery, and feel almost harmless compared to chips or candy. Many of my senior patients keep a jar of them on the counter, thinking they're making the healthy choice. But here's the unsettling truth. For older adults, especially those over 60, cashews can quietly set the stage for a stroke. Not tomorrow, not next year, but tonight, while you sleep. Why? Because most cashews sold in the US are roasted with salt. For a younger body, that extra sodium might only cause a little water retention or a slight bump in blood pressure. But for aging arteries, kidneys that no longer filter as well, and hearts already working harder than they once did, that extra sodium becomes fuel for disaster. Salt tightens blood vessels, stiffens the arteries, and forces the heart to pump against more resistance. Blood pressure creeps higher, the lining of the arteries weakens, and in those fragile vessels inside the brain, it triggers strokes. It forms blood clots that cut off oxygen in a matter of seconds. I'll never forget a patient of mine, Mr. Leonard, 74, a retired truck driver who prided himself on eating smarter. He had given up potato chips years ago and replaced them with a bowl of salted cashews by his recliner. Every night, while watching the evening news, he'd grab a handful, sometimes 2. He thought he was doing his heart a favor. One morning, his wife found him slumped in his chair, his speech slurred, unable to lift his right arm. At the hospital, scans confirmed a stroke. His blood pressure had spiked overnight. His arteries could not handle the stress, and the clot had lodged in a small but critical vessel in his brain. He survived, but he now walks with a cane, his independence forever altered by a simple habit he thought was harmless. This is what I need you to understand. When you're over 60, even 1 or 2 handfuls of salted cashews can silently push your blood pressure into dangerous territory. And if you eat them in the evening, when circulation slows and the body is winding down, you've created the perfect storm for a clot to form while you sleep. What feels like a light snack can be the very trigger that robs you of your words, your balance, even your tomorrow. Now, if cashews shocked you, wait until you hear about almonds, because while cashews raise pressure, almonds thin the blood, and in the wrong body, that can be just as deadly. If you're still watching and finding these insights helpful, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're with me. Now let's move on to point number 2. 2. Almonds, vitamin E overload. Almonds are everywhere. You see them in trail mix, in granola bars, in almond milk, and in those glossy, heart healthy ads that make them look like the perfect snack. For younger adults, almonds can indeed be a smart choice. But after age 60, when your body's balance shifts and your medications become part of your daily routine, almonds can turn from friend to foe in ways few seniors are ever warned about. The danger lies in something most people think is good: vitamin E. Almonds are loaded with it, and while a small amount supports healthy cells, too much vitamin E thins the blood. That means your blood takes longer to clot. For someone on aspirin, warfarin, or other blood thinners, medications that so many seniors rely on, the added vitamin E quietly pushes the body toward instability. It doesn't make you feel sick at first. You don't get a warning bell. But inside those fragile vessels of the brain, when blood is too thin, a tiny rupture can turn into a devastating brain bleed. It triggers strokes, it forms blood clots, and it can steal everything you've worked to protect. I think of one of my patients, Mrs. Peterson, 79, a retired school librarian. She lived by the motto, "Natural is best." Every morning she made whole grain toast with a thick smear of almond butter, proud of her healthy routine. She also took a daily aspirin her cardiologist had prescribed after a minor heart scare. For months she felt fine, until she began noticing dull headaches and occasional dizziness. One evening she collapsed while reading in her chair. At the hospital, scans showed a hemorrhagic stroke. A vessel deep in her brain had burst. Her labs revealed excessively thin blood. She hadn't doubled her aspirin. She hadn't made a mistake with her medication. The problem was the combination: her daily aspirin plus years of high vitamin E from almonds had quietly shifted the balance. Her independence was nearly stolen by a nut she trusted. This is why I warn seniors: more is not better. One small handful of almonds may be safe, but when you add almond milk, almond butter, and handfuls of roasted almonds every day, the cumulative effect can be dangerous. For older adults, moderation isn't just advice, it's survival. And if almonds startled you, wait until you hear about pistachios. Because while almonds thin the blood, pistachios can destabilize blood pressure so suddenly it leaves seniors fainting, falling, and sometimes never getting back up. 3. Pistachios. Blood pressure spike. Pistachios are America's guilty pleasure. They feel light, fun, almost playful. You crack the shell, pop one after another, and before you know it, you've gone through half a bag while watching your favorite show. And they seem harmless, right? Green, small, packed with protein. But for seniors, pistachios can quietly create the very conditions that set the stage for stroke. It doesn't happen instantly, and that's what makes it so dangerous. It sneaks up on you when your body is least prepared to handle it. Here's what many people don't realize. Most pistachios sold in stores are roasted with heavy salt. That sodium alone can tighten arteries and elevate blood pressure beyond what an aging heart and brain can safely handle. But pistachios have another hidden risk: high levels of arginine, an amino acid that dilates blood vessels. For a younger person, that dilation might not cause harm. But in older adults, whose arteries are already fragile and stiff, sudden vessel changes can send blood pressure swinging up and down like a roller coaster. And when blood pressure surges or collapses unpredictably, it triggers strokes, it forms blood clots, and sometimes it causes ruptures inside delicate brain tissue that leave permanent scars. I think of my patient, Mr. Thomas, 82. a retired mechanic who prided himself on staying active. Every evening, he'd sit at the kitchen table with his newspaper and a big bowl of pistachios. It was his ritual. He believed they were better than cookies or chips. But one evening, after finishing nearly half the bag, he stood up and the room spun. His wife found him collapsed on the floor, his face pale, his body trembling. At the hospital, we discovered his blood pressure had swung dangerously low, and in the middle of that instability, a clot had formed, blocking blood flow to a part of his brain. A stroke, born not from smoking or fried food, but from pistachios, tiny, green, innocent pistachios. He survived, but his balance never returned. He now relies on a walker, his independence stolen by a snack he thought was harmless. That's why I tell my older patients this truth. Pistachios are not the playful snack they appear to be. If you're over 60, especially if you take blood pressure medications, even a large handful can be enough to destabilize your circulation. Salt pushes your pressure too high. Arginine swings it too low, and your aging arteries can't recover the way they used to. The result is silent, unpredictable, and sometimes irreversible. And if pistachios shocked you, wait until you hear about Brazil nuts. Because unlike pistachios, which play games with your blood pressure, Brazil nuts quietly poison your system from within, one bite at a time. If you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're here. Now let's keep going with point number 4. 4. Brazil nuts. Selenium toxicity. Brazil nuts are often marketed as a superfood, the kind of exotic treat you might read about in health magazines or see praised on morning talk shows. They're big, rich, and just a few of them can feel like a luxury snack compared to other nuts. Many older adults are told they're good for the thyroid, great for immunity, or packed with antioxidants. But what few people ever hear is the darker side of this nut. It contains one of the highest natural concentrations of selenium in the human diet. And for seniors, that can be a silent killer. Selenium is a trace mineral. In very small amounts, it helps your body function properly. But Brazil nuts don't just contain small amounts. Just one single Brazil nut can deliver your entire daily requirement, and often much more. That means if you eat 2, 3, or 5 in a day, you are no longer nourishing your body, you are poisoning it. Excess selenium builds up quietly, especially in older adults whose liver and kidneys no longer filter toxins as efficiently as they once did. This overload creates oxidative stress, weakens the walls of blood vessels, and disrupts the normal rhythm of the heart. Over time, it doesn't just wear you down, it triggers strokes, it forms blood clots, and it can rupture delicate arteries in the brain with no warning at all. I think of Mrs. Allen, a 76-year-old retired nurse who came to see me after months of subtle but disturbing symptoms. She had read online that Brazil nuts were a natural way to boost her immune system, so she made a ritual of eating half a dozen every morning with her coffee. At first, she felt fine, even proud of her superfood habit. But then came the tremors, the dizziness, the strange metallic taste in her mouth. She ignored it, thinking it was just age catching up. One morning, she suddenly collapsed at her kitchen table. Her daughter rushed her to the hospital, where we discovered she had suffered a mild ischemic stroke. Her blood was thickened, her circulation unstable, and her selenium levels were more than double the normal range. She hadn't taken extra pills, she hadn't overdosed on medication. Her daily handful of Brazil nuts had quietly tipped her body into toxicity. She survived, but her independence was never the same. She now walks slowly, cautiously, a woman betrayed by a nut she thought was helping her. This is why I tell my senior patients, Brazil nuts are not meant to be eaten by the handful. They are powerful, potent, and dangerous when misunderstood. One nut here and there may be fine, but anything more puts you on a razor's edge between health and harm. With aging bodies that process nutrients more slowly, the margin for error disappears. And if you think Brazil nuts are unsettling, wait until you hear about peanuts. Because unlike Brazil nuts, peanuts aren't exotic at all. They're America's comfort food. But hidden inside that familiar jar of peanut butter is a toxic threat that can quietly scar your liver, inflame your vessels, and set the stage for the kind of strokes that change a life forever. 5. Peanuts, the American comfort food with hidden risks. Peanuts feel like part of the American story. From peanut butter sandwiches in school lunchboxes to roasted peanuts at baseball games, they've always carried the image of comfort, tradition, and simple nourishment. For many older adults, peanuts or peanut butter are a daily staple, something easy, affordable, and familiar. But as a brain doctor who has treated countless seniors, I have to tell you the truth. Peanuts are not as harmless as they appear. For people over 60, they can quietly become one of the most dangerous nuts of all, creating the very conditions that lead to strokes. The danger lies in three hidden factors. First, peanuts are among the most mold-prone crops in America. Even after processing, they can carry trace amounts of aflatoxins, toxins produced by molds that damage the liver, weaken the blood vessels, and increase inflammation in the brain. For seniors with slower detox systems, those toxins don't just pass through, they accumulate, silently chipping away at vascular health. Second, peanuts are rarely eaten in their purest form. In grocery stores, they're roasted with salt, mixed with sugar, or blended into peanut butter loaded with hydrogenated oils. Every spoonful adds sodium, trans fats, and sugars that raise blood pressure, thicken the blood, and inflame arteries. And third, peanuts are strong allergens, triggering low-grade inflammation even in people who don't have classic allergic reactions. For aging brains and delicate vessels, that constant background of inflammation is dangerous. It triggers strokes, it forms blood clots, and it makes fragile arteries even more vulnerable. I think of Mr. Raymond, 80, one of my patients who lived by the motto, better peanut butter than pastries. Every morning he spread 2 heaping tablespoons of sweetened peanut butter on white toast. He believed he was making the healthier choice, but over time, his blood sugar crept up, his blood pressure climbed, and he began to feel occasional morning dizziness. One day, while standing at his kitchen counter, he dropped the knife from his right hand and couldn't bend down to pick it up. His wife rushed him to the hospital, and scans revealed a transient ischemic attack, a mini stroke. His lab showed elevated inflammatory markers and unstable circulation. The culprit wasn't candy or soda, it was the daily peanut butter he thought was safe. His stroke was a warning shot, but for many others, that warning never comes. This is why I caution every senior. Peanuts are not the same food they were decades ago. The combination of toxins, salt, sugar, and hidden inflammation makes them a dangerous comfort. You may not feel it as you eat them, but inside your body, every handful is adding pressure, creating stickier blood, and priming the brain for disaster. What seems like a harmless snack can be the final push that tips you into a stroke you never see coming. And if hearing this about peanuts unsettles you, stay with me. Because now we come to the most important part of all, the truth about which nuts and fruits truly protect your brain, which ones are safe allies for healthy aging, and how simple changes can keep you sharp, steady, and independent for years to come. The truth about nuts, aging, and protecting your brain. After walking you through the hidden dangers of cashews, almonds, pistachios, Brazil nuts, and peanuts, you may feel shocked, even betrayed. Your whole life you've been told, Nuts are superfoods, right? Or a natural snack you could trust. And for younger people, maybe that was true. But for seniors over 60 with slower kidneys, livers processing medications, and blood vessels that no longer have the flexibility they once did, the story changes dramatically. The very nuts that once protected your heart can now turn against you. Think about it. Cashews load your body with salt, raising blood pressure until arteries can't hold. Almonds, with too much vitamin E, thin the blood so much that even the smallest vessel rupture can trigger bleeding inside the brain. Pistachios send blood pressure swinging wildly, 1 minute high, the next minute low, a dangerous instability for fragile circulation. Brazil nuts, eaten in excess, silently poison you with selenium, pushing your vessels toward weakness and clotting. And peanuts, the comfort food of America, carry mold toxins, hidden sugars, and salts that quietly inflame your vessels year after year. Each of these risks alone is concerning, but together they paint a sobering picture. Your brain is not as protected as you think. One innocent snack in the evening, one daily habit you thought was healthy, could be the very trigger that steals your speech, your balance, or your independence. I've seen it happen in my patients. I've seen it happen overnight, without warning, and it's devastating because most of these strokes could have been prevented, not with more pills, but with more awareness. But here's the hope. Not all nuts are the enemy. Walnuts, rich in omega-3s, can strengthen brain function. Pecans, full of antioxidants, can support healthy aging. Hazelnuts, in moderation, provide gentle benefits without overwhelming your system. The key is not fear, but wisdom, knowing which foods your aging body can handle and which ones quietly push you toward danger. At this stage of life, every bite matters. You are not fragile, but you are different. Your body deserves care and not surprises. Respect that truth, and you can protect your brain, your independence, and the life you still want to live fully. And now, let's talk about the foods that truly heal, the brain-safe choices that keep your memory sharp, your balance steady, and your future in your hands. These lessons are meant to inspire you to live fully and authentically. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Take a moment to reflect and share one thing you've learned and plan to apply in your own life. Let's support each other on this journey toward embracing these truths. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment with 1. If not, feel free to comment with 0. Your feedback means a lot to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and here's to living life on your own terms.